model, I thought I'd use it to introduce myself, so you have a quick clue who I am. And also it's a kind of good excuse to sort of teach this model, which was created by an NLP trainer, Robert Dilts. So, who am I? Well, I live in London mainly, but I sort of do travel. Well, I used to travel around the world doing this stuff, but I've been doing it on Zoom. So I certainly suppose I've reduced my air miles. And that's kind of where I operate from. Behavior, what do I do? Well, I suppose I teach, I coach. I also sort of do businessy things because I'm a sort of retired or semi-retired kind of business person. How do I do that? Well, I suppose I developed various skills over the years. I ran a business for about 30 years, and I suppose I still run a sort of business not related to NLP. So, I mean, that's to me a kind of unconscious skill. So I deliberately, over many years, developed the capability to unconsciously do this behavior. I've been doing NLP for over 20 years, so I like to think that what I'm doing now is fairly unconscious. In other words, it's automatic, and I hope I can do it reasonably well. I don't have to think much about it. But the capability is also a sense that I do want to keep learning. I haven't sort of felt that I've got there. You know, I want to keep learning, reading, attending courses, because capability is an intention to firstly do something not very well, and then eventually do it well. And that's very much the kind of entrepreneur in me, is, if you like, a belief that it's a good idea to do something to learn how to do it, even if you do it badly. Somebody said to me, an entrepreneur is somebody who launches the plane and then builds it when it's in midair, which sounds slightly dangerous, but I think there's a kind of a truth to it. How did I start NLP training? I booked a room. And then tried to get some people in it, and thought by the time those people are in that room, hopefully I will have worked out what to tell them. So, you know, maybe you could say I do things too quickly, which sometimes is true, but there's a sort of a value, if you like, in me getting things done, making things happen, and also a sort of belief that it's important. And, you know, I have all sorts of beliefs. I like to think that the beliefs that I hold are useful to me rather than negative beliefs that I've sort of hinted at earlier. So who am I? My identity? I don't know. I suppose I sometimes think it's better to define it as a metaphor. So a common one I like to use is a drummer, because I am a drummer. I play drums as a sort of hobby. I suppose if all went wrong and I can't make a living at this anymore, I could always head to a cruise ship when they come back. But there's also something around the idea of that I like kind of keeping the beat, keeping the energy going, and just kind of getting on with it. So there's something kind of important to me about that. And also, as I said, I'm semi-retired. So when I gave up my business role and sold my business about 4 years ago, I didn't have like an identity crisis particularly. I did for maybe about 6 weeks, thinking, oh, I'm yesterday's man. But in a sense, doing all this kind of work has helped me identify myself as more than just, I don't know, a business person. You know, if you meet somebody and say, I'm an accountant, or I'm an architect, or I'm a nurse, or whatever. So often our job role is so embedded in our identity. And so I was quite happy that all these years of NLP enabled me to move on and find that an easy transition. While for so many people, retirement can be very, very challenging. And vision, you know, what's my bigger purpose? Why do I do all this? Well, I think, you know, I had certain sort of mental health problems when I started NLP about 25 years ago. I suppose I began the journey of learning and so forth. And, you know, I found doing all this sort of thing not only kind of transformed my own well-being, created new options and kind of a new path in life for me, but also I suppose there is something about wanting to share it with other people is also a reminder for myself. So I think that my vision is, by sharing what I've learned, is also an important reminder for me that, you know, the significance of the material.